Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We got that Ford F-150 coming back to us, the one that we did the rough country grille lights in. It's coming back to us for a stereo system. We're doing a stereo, amplifier, speakers, and subwoofer setup. We're going to be using the Maestro Idatalink system. So what this does is it allows the vehicle's CAN bus system to communicate with the stereo to display some of the vehicular functions that are going on. The tire pressure monitoring system, what gear the vehicle's in, door, hood, all that stuff. It tells it what's going on with the vehicle. It also is going to allow us to integrate the factory rear view camera to the new stereo. We're also going to be adding the front view camera to this stereo. So stay tuned for all that. Hope you like it, and we'll see you on the back end.
Alright guys, another memo makes. This time we're going to be doing a stereo system in a Ford F-150. This is 2019, I believe. Ford F-150 crew cab. So we are going to be replacing the factory stereo, which has this small screen, and we're going to be adding the Maestro system with the Idatalink system, which gives you some vehicle information on your stereo, and we'll get more into that once it's installed, so you can see the features. We've got a kit that replaces this whole area, and we're going to integrate the AC controls onto it. It's kind of an involved installation, so we'll try to show you some of it, whatever we need to show. And we're also going to replace these front speakers here, and these are 6x9s here. We're also going to be adding an amplifier that powers all 4 door speakers and the subwoofer. So we're going to be starting off with the head unit. This is it here. This is a Kenwood Excelon DMX706S monitor receiver. So this has Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, all that good stuff. Obviously Bluetooth. It has Idatalink, which is what will allow us to interface with the Maestro system, which gives you some vehicle information. It also allows you to retain some of the vehicle functions, like the steering wheel controls, all the dings and dongs that the vehicle does. It maintains them. We're going to be amplifying with a Kenwood Excelon reference amplifier. This is the XR9015. This is a 5-channel digital amplifier. It's pretty good. It's going to power everything we have, and it's going to give us the ability to cross it over. We're going to be adding a Blaupunkt bass restorer. There it is here. Now most people call these epicenter. This isn't an epicenter. It's a bass processor. There it is, the EP1600X, made by Blaupunkt. This is the installation kit that will allow us to mount a different size stereo and maintain all the functionality of the AC controls. It even relocates the airbag lighting, all that stuff, and it also gives us a pocket underneath the AC controls with the USB mount right up on there. Now the subwoofer we're going to be using is this kicker sub. It goes right under the seat in the back. This is the TRTP12. It's a 12-inch speaker with a added resonator, I believe they call these. It's down firing, so it's a very narrow mount. So let's get to it, guys. Alright guys, so you've seen me do these doors on another video. I'll try to link it in the description, maybe put a card for it up here if I can. I don't really know how to do that yet. So these door panels, we pop this off, pop this little panel off. We got some 7mm bolts here, two 7mm screws down there, and then the cover comes off. I'll do that in a faster mode. We're also going to pop these out, these kick panels. You've also seen me remove this top piece here for the XM. Maybe I'll link that as well. Then we'll remove this, and that I'll show you, because I don't think you've seen that in the video yet. I'm not sure if we removed that for the XM install or not. But since we're going to do the Maestro system, we will show you how to remove that, and we'll have to completely disassemble all that. So that you'll see. Show you when we install the microphone, so that piece up there will have to come out as well. We are going to be installing the amplifier under this rear seat, this front seat here. You can kind of see it there. It's just, we just slid it in here to see if it would clear everything, and it does. Subwoofer again will go under that rear seat there. We are going to be bringing both power and ground from the battery all the way here, because these are aluminum bodies and we are not sure yet. We don't have enough experience to know whether or not the aluminum conducts better or worse than the actual metal bodies. So rather than risking it, we're going to grab both power and ground, take them straight to the amplifier, and that's how we'll power the system. So we're going to start with the removal of the door panel. So I'm going to gloss over some of the door panel removal and the installation of the speakers, because I have done it in other videos on this exact same model truck. These are the speakers here. Kenwood 4-way, 5-way actually. There you go, 5 ways. KFC, and it's not fried chicken. 6996 PS. So we're not going to be using obviously the grills. We're going to be using these adapters. Now these are from another kind of speaker. These are from some Pioneer speakers that didn't need these adapters. What these allow us to do is factory mount the speaker with the factory screws that went into this Ford, and then it adapts the size for the 6x9 so that we can get good installation. So I'll modify these and I'll install the speakers onto the adapters, and then we'll take the speaker with the adapter onto the truck. This is just the speakers being installed onto the adapters before they go into the actual doors. The speaker size is different for the factory, so we use these adapters to fill in that gap. So pretty much all 4 doors, the speaker installation on all 4 doors is the same, so I won't make you go through all of it. You'll just assume that all 4 doors are the same.
So we've got to remove the stereo first with some 7mm bolts, screws actually. So now we carefully pull the stereo face off. It's just held in with some clips. These aren't difficult to remove, you just need some practice at it. So next we're going to remove the screen, the deck, which this is the actual brain of the stereo. This is just the display, and some of the interfacing is done by the screen. And then behind here, I believe this is the reverse camera module. So we're going to remove this and install it on a bracket that's going to go in this location. Some 10mm nuts to remove the camera module. We'll just take that out of the way for now. Alright folks, so this is the Idatalink Maestro FTR1 kit. This is a dash kit to integrate a new aftermarket stereo to the F150 and the Super Duty Fords. 15 and up on the Ford F150s and 17 and up on the Super Duties. So what this allows us to do is install an aftermarket radio and move our AC controls and maintain our message center. This in conjunction with the Maestro RR kit or module offered by Maestro or Idatalink Maestro. So this module has to be programmed according to the stereo and the car that you have. There are lots of things that you have to do on the software to flash this module. We won't go into that. This is already flashed. I already did this on the computer, and we're going to focus on the installation. And this kit comes with a harness that just plugs directly into this and then directly into the car, and then we do the hard wiring to the new stereo. So we will have to modify this, which is the controls for the AC and the message center for the vehicle. And we're also going to integrate these buttons up here, which is the traction control and the park assist, I believe, and the hazards into the new kit. So we'll do that. So we're going to carefully remove the switches that are on the factory face of the stereo. I believe one is the traction control, the other one is the hazard and park assist switch. So we've got to be careful to line these little knobs up in their center position whilst we are taking them apart. That's going to be important later on when we reassemble it. It's got to line up, otherwise the timing of the actual switching and the look of the knob will be off. Amongst various other things to watch out for is these very delicate ribbon cables. You have to disassemble these very carefully, keeping in mind the orientation that they're going to have to go in. We are going to be removing the circuit board and placing it into the new kit. Some of these are going to be replaced, some of these are going to be reused.
Okay, so we have to remove these like that. So the way you do it is you pull these tabs up away from the connector, and then you just slide the flex cable out. Then we're going to do the same thing on these. It's up, so in this case towards you. And then you just slide that out. And if it doesn't just slide out, then something's going wrong.
Here we're going to remove the PCB boards, or whatever you want to call these boards, from the face of the stereo and AC control, and we're going to place them onto the new kit. This is a control panel, or the new face. It's got the message center. It's there. That's where the AC controls are going to go. The lower section is the pocket section there. Memo is going to start to assemble the new front face, or control panel face. He's going to have to carefully locate all the buttons and the control knobs for the AC system. It's a little bit tedious, but not incredibly difficult. The harder part comes when assembling the PCBs. They get sandwiched on top of each other. The instructions give you a real good detail of how to do it, but we're just going to gloss over it here. Memo's going to slow down here to show you the importance of choosing the right screws for this particular step. They give you some hardware with the kit, so you've got to make sure you choose the right screws. You're going to need 4 of these smaller screws. The kit provides you with some new flex cables to join the 2 PCB boards. These are them right here. You're going to need them to plug one board into the other. Always be careful of the orientation on these. We're going to slow it back down so that Memo can show you the proper way to insert these flex cables into these connectors. You have to be careful of the orientation, which side goes to which, top and bottom, and then make sure you insert them the right way. Next, we're going to start to assemble these plastic pieces that will sandwich the PCB boards together. Orientation is a must, so make sure you check out the instructions if you're doing something like this. Slow back down again to show you how these ribbon cables line up, how they connect in there. It's kind of important that you get these absolutely right, and you see how we orient the new board, or the board on the new kit face, or on the new display face, whatever you want to call this panel. So this is the final part of the PCB, getting the cover on it. Here you see Memo checking out all the encoder knobs or control knobs. You also do want to make sure that the buttons feel the right way. They'll have a certain feedback, spring, or sensation to them. All that stuff has to be there or there's something wrong. Now we put in the switches that we took off of the original face. So there it is, guys. There's the faceplate all put together. Booyah! Alright guys, Guillermo's going to go through a lot of wiring here. Some of it's going to be plug and play with one module to the vehicle, but some of it's going to have to be wired into the new stereo. So we'll skip over or gloss over a great deal of it. Whenever there's anything of significance, well, I'll slow it down for you. This kit covers a couple of different vehicles, so choose the rear view camera adapter that's right for yours. I believe we're going to go with the larger one on this vehicle. Alright guys, so even with music, that's just a little too boring to watch all that wiring, so we'll just skip it. If there's something important, I'll show it to you. Something noteworthy, I'll show it to you. So here we have the harness. This is the end that plugs into the factory stereo connections, the lower part of the stereo, which we removed. These are the connections that are going to go to the Maestro unit. These go to this unit. From the Maestro unit, we also have two more connections, which are the Idatalink connections for the stereo. Then on here, on this side of the harness, we have all the wiring that goes to the new stereo, power, speakers, remote, all that stuff. This is the connector that's going to go to the factory camera unit. Outputs the video to the new stereo. And these are the connections that we're going to have for the base processor or epicenter. So you want to try and keep the installation a little bit clean. There's a lot of wiring here, so if you don't keep it organized like this, you know, it can become a jumbled mess. Anything that's not going to be used, like this connector, is not going to be used in this install, so tie up the excess connectors that are going to be used. Well, plug them in where they go, and these are left with slack because we're going to wire them up to the epicenter. Alright, so these are some brackets that come with the Maestro installation kit with the FTR1. So these are the base plates that are going to mount your stereo to the vehicle. Now they're labeled right and left, and right and left on vehicular parts means the car itself, not when you're looking at the car, but for example, as you sit in the driver's seat, the left side is the driver's side, the right side is the passenger side. So this is how the stereo would look. So the left would be this side, the right would be this side. So these grab on here, just like so, into some of these. Now it depends on how you want to set it up. And then you adjust the depth on these. I think that those are the mounting bolts there. And this gets adjusted as you need it. And I'll initially mount it and see how it fits versus this part of the face on the trim. And then we'll go from there.
so we're gonna go ahead and adjust these now. We're gonna mock up the stereo and then fit the trim on there to get the relation between the stereo and the installation kit, or the face or fascia, whatever you want to call it. So we'll do that. Alright guys, so this is going to go fast, but it does take quite a bit of time and effort into aligning these properly. So I'm going to go ahead and show you Memo doing it, installing it, then having to take it back off, then, making calculations and trying it again until it's perfect. And I'll slow it down here just a little bit so you can see how he shows you that it did make a difference of how much he moved it before he installs it again. Alright, so we've got a good fit there. Got a good fit all around it. We've got about the same distance here and here, here and here. Now, we are a little bit angled this way. See the distance here and the distance here. We're talking about millimeters, but you saw I just put 2 screws in for the head unit. So once we get to installing it properly, once the wiring is all done, that's when we do that final adjustment. But what we wanted to get was a good fit forward and backwards with relation between the stereo and the fascia, or the trim piece, whatever you want to call it. So it looks like we've got a good fit there, so we'll go ahead and do the rest of the install, and we will tighten up those screws for the mounting brackets for the stereo. Right here, guys, Memo's going to start to plug in the wiring harness for the stereo and the Maestro unit. They hook up to a couple of the factory plugs, and then there's some wiring provisions there for video, for the different connections that got to go to different things. Some of the amplifier connections, some of the bass restoration device connections are there too. This is the camera module. It goes mounted here, like so, with the 3 screws that are provided with the kit. So this will go right here. We will mount it off camera. Here, Memo's going to start to take the trim pieces apart so that the wiring can be guided through. Now, these just snap out of place. If you're careful enough, you can even do it with your hands sometimes. That's the clips there Memo's showing us. They just snap right back into place. You just have to get a feel for how you remove them, and then they just snap back in. Here, Memo's going to start to guide some of the wiring that goes to the amplifier from the stereo back to the speakers, or wherever you're going to hook up to the speakers. This is a lot of, I wouldn't call it random wiring, but this is a lot of just really basic wiring. So we're going to go through it fast. This isn't a full how-to video on how to wire up an amplifier, but there's a couple of connections. RCAs, which are the ones that bring the signal from the stereo to the amplifier, then the speaker output cables that brings the speaker signal out from the amplifier to the speakers, and then there's also a remote wire that turns on the amplifier that's from the stereo. So that's what Memo's wiring up here. It's a little bit tedious, so we'll go through it fast, and that way I won't bore you. Well, bore you anymore. Alright, so we've guided the wiring, 3 sets of RCAs, front, rear, and subwoofer. Speaker wires that go to the 2 front speakers go here. They come up to the dash, they go up under, come out right there. We've also got the remote wire, which is this blue one, which is the amp control wire. Got them just guided here. The amplifier is going to go under this seat, so once we take that out, we'll set the wiring in there. We've also got to bring in the power and ground wires from the battery, so those will come through there, down through there as well, and we'll guide them down towards the amplifier.
Right here we're going to show the power wiring. Both the ground and power wire get let into the cab through this grommet. The wires are zip tied there. That's the grommet there. Then the wires go with those zip ties all the way up to the battery. Now you'll see here both the power and ground. That's the power and the ground. The power is going to go to a circuit breaker, then to the battery, and then that one just goes grounded straight to the battery. On the inside we've got the cables, both of them. Again, they're guided up to the seat, and then we're going to remove the seat to bring them into the amplifier location.
Alright, so this is a view of where we're going to put the amplifier. We may put it left to right, front to back, but you know, it'll go in here depending on how we organize the wiring. That's the way it's going to sit. Alright, so we got all the wiring here that we're going to need. Power, ground, remote, 2 front speakers, 2 rear speakers, 3 sets of RCAs, front, rear, and subwoofer. So the amplifier is going to mount right here in this section and then tuck up right up against this level here. Screw it down. So there it is, guys. It's all cleaned up. This is obviously, you saw it's not screwed down. I'll run the initial testing. Of course, we have to set the seat back in place, plug it up when we do the testing so that we don't have any codes from the airbag system or the SRS system. So we'll do that. So the base processor, guys, it's strapped right down here. You see it there. It's this black piece that goes down and it's secured down there, and it's secured up here. This metal bar here. I forgot to start the record, and then the wiring, it comes out the sides. You can see the RCAs there, right there. And we'll tie up the slack, which we have a little bit of from the amplifier RCA. So we'll tie up the slack. And this is the connection that goes to the stereo subwoofer output. And we'll set you on the pod. Alright guys, so we pretty much got everything we need here. Got the Maestro unit here. We've got rear view camera video input. We've got antenna. We have our Idatalink connection. We have our main power. We have our subwoofer RCA connection. We have our front and rear RCA connection. I believe that's it. We've got the connector for the rear view camera module that's going to go mounted on the base here. So now I need to mount the stereo, mount the camera module, and put the seat back in, and we'll do some testing. So here it is. These are the connectors for the switches that go up on top of the stereo. I believe it's a hazards and the park assist. And there's another button up there, I can't remember. This is the camera module. Obviously this is the new stereo. This connector set is for the AC controls, which are going to be on that kit that we're going to bring in. And this is the USB connection. It will also plug into the base. It's going to be a connector right here. So you can see how it looks. You see how there's no big bundles of wires, you know, just thrown everywhere. Up at the top, everything that's there is cleanly tied up. Under it, you see how there's no big bulges of wires. Everything's nice and tucked away. Everything's nice and tied together. There are tons of wires back there, just a ton of them. You saw the wiring that went in there, but if you take care to do it in a clean way, it's gonna turn out clean just like this. And if there's ever a problem with it, well, then you know which way you gotta go to check things. I've still got to mount the microphone here, so I'm gonna get you a shot of that. It's pretty simple, just clips in. Basically, this just hooks into that piece that snaps into place up here. So I'll try to get you a shot of that. I'm not sure it'll come out because of the way you're going to be angled, but we'll give it a shot. Alright, so I don't like the way this fit up there. It was just bouncing all around, so we're going to go ahead and adhere it, you know, attach it with some double-sided tape to this plastic piece here. So I'm going to have to clean this with some alcohol. I'll be back. I'm going to clean this up and put some double-sided tape, and we'll put that back on. Or actually, let me see if I can mount it to the headliner. Okay, folks, so I'm going to do something here against my better judgment. I'm going to let this run at regular speed just so you can see the kind of time investment that goes into doing something that's just a little tiny detail. This is just the Bluetooth microphone being put in place, and it's not a custom installation by any means. This is just the microphone being installed. But you see that it takes a while. Even though I already did a time lapse a few seconds ago of me trying it for the first time, I just didn't like it. So you can see how long it takes to fiddle with something that's just a little tiny detail. But when you take the time on little tiny details like this, it is what makes the installation come out the way it has to, the best that it can be done, you know, without customizing it. You can customize the hell out of this thing and leave it, you know, perfect. But even though you're going to leave it just good enough, it takes time. All right, so that's a much better looking location for it. There it is. That's the center piece here. It looks like a speaker, but it is not. There's just a module that goes up there, and I don't know why it looks like a speaker. It doesn't have holes in here. Those are actually just like indentions that make it look like a speaker grill, but there's very little opening up here at the front. I don't know what it's for. I just haven't even looked it up. So the cabling, again, it goes down inside the headliner, down the A-pillar, towards the stereo, out to the stereo, and we plugged it in there. customer asked for a battery swap, so we're going to be changing it out for an Optima gel cell yellow top battery. These are supposed to be optimized for the marine applications or for cardi applications that integrate an amplifier such as we did here. So there it is, guys. That's the Kenwood amplifier installed in its place. We are going to bolt the seat back. We actually already did these 2 bolts, and we are just going to do the 2 front ones, and that's it. I'm going through some testing, some adjusting, and that should be it. I'll bring you back for that. Alright guys, so there it is. That's the install. See the USB here? This hooks up right there. There's the auxiliary. I forgot to show you because I didn't know whether or not we were going to add the auxiliary, so that's the only thing I did off camera, is just add the connection for that. But these, they come with the kit. They're on the installation kit on the Maestro FTR1 kit. I believe it's FTR. And so that's it. I tested all the controls up there for the steering wheel to make sure that it works up with the Maestro. I'll show you the subwoofer enclosure. It was just a drop-in, so there's really nothing to see as far as installation. And it's this kicker sub right here. And it fits right under the seat. See it there? Seat just folds down. You see it doesn't even stick out beyond the seat there. So when you power it up, it gives you the sign that you agree that you can crash if you're not careful. So we'll do this at with no music. Press the functions, and then you've got options for the vehicle info or for the gauges. If you go to the gauges, you've got a cool array. I hope it shows up on video. You see you have different options there. And I think you can do like a quarter mile test and all that, speed, braking, 0 to 60, intake temperature. Then you can go back to the normal gauges, and they give you miles per hour, RPM, load on the engine, fuel, intake temperature. You can also go into vehicle info, and there you see, I'm trying to make it to where you can see the colors for it. There, you can kind of make it out. So you see the doors that are in yellow and the hood's in yellow, and this door's in yellow. Those are the open doors. And you see green for all the tires because the air is correct. P for park. As far as the gear, the voltage on the battery is at 14. And you see check engine. Now the reason why that's on is because this vehicle has the check engine, so it's a funny thing that they brought this like this. But the vehicle has the check engine on, then you go to the check engine and it tells you which code, and then it tells you can reset it. Now I'm not going to reset it because I want the customer to see that. I want them to see that it's a functionality, and once it's, if it doesn't come back on, then I can't show them. So it really is a good thing that he brought it like that. So then we can go back out and you can set the different things that you want to see in the information. So again, we go back out into the normal music stuff. And of course you've got the USB. You've got all the other options that you would normally have, the Spotify, the Pandora, Bluetooth functionality, all that good stuff.
Here you can see the TPMS was working. You can see the door is indicated as open. There it is closed. There it is open again. It'll tell you if the vehicle doors are open and whatnot. Tell you what gear you're in. There it is in park, shift. back and forth. We go back to park. It'll also show you that you can see here that the check engine light's been cleared and the battery voltage 12 point. And this is the regular vehicle functions. Because the key is off, it's just an ignition. All the gauges are dead, or some of them are dead. The intake, you can still see it. And then this is back to the regular functions.
Alright guys, so that was it. I hope you liked it. Pretty cool stereo, pretty cool features on the Idatalink system. I'll have links for you in the description. Again, we're not affiliated with any of these companies. They're just products that we install for the different customers. Pretty good sounding system. About a moderate level installation. So if you were inclined to do it yourself, if you've got a little bit of knowledge in stereo installations, you might try it. But if you're basic knowledge type of guy, or if you have no experience, just to have a professional to do it, it's quite lengthy install because of all the things that go in. Hope you liked the video, and we'll see you on the next one.